But we got this local interest story, and then I want to jump back to that clip from your president. We got this local interest story, Roxanne, and it's amazing to me that I didn't hear about it. I didn't hear a peep about this, and I don't even find it published by the corporate media. This just kind of slid in under the radar.
This story happened, this event, I should say, decision happened. It was in the makings for a while, but officially at the end of March. And this story that I sent you is it's dated at the end of March. But there's not a peep about it on any other media source. So it's kind of interesting that there's been zero coverage, but this is a significant event.
Well, tell us, we've set it up a little bit. Tell us what's going on, because I see this picture with Tampa Mayor Jane Castor, and I guess she likes Brooks Brothers too, because she's got a little Brooks Brothers jumper on, and then I see she's right next to a guy I recognize from the Democrat primary, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Now, what's going on between the two of them?
So the city of Tampa did a backroom deal with Bloomberg's consulting company. He's got this big consulting company, and they do work. They're kind of embedded in different cities around the world: London, Chicago, Detroit, Newark. And now they're doing something similar for Tampa. These Bloomberg consultants will contribute, on average, 4,500 consulting hours across 26 projects, all conveniently at no cost to the city of Tampa. But there is a cost. The cost is that these consulting ideas that they'll be providing, they're going to try to turn us into what they believe is the best, Democrat-run city. So that's what they're doing in the city of Tampa. And this was voted on, obviously, by the Tampa City Council. And what's kind of upsetting people who live in Tampa, in the city of Tampa, they're like, wait a second, we didn't know anything about this. Nothing. This just happened, and now it's set in stone. And this contract is what dictates the actions of the consultants. It's no longer in the hands of the city council.
Right. It's no longer in the hands of the people. In other words, if you're upset that this was done in a backroom deal without your knowledge, that's too bad, because we're now under contract with Bloomberg. Now, mind you, you pointed out they're going to give this 4,500 hours, which is basically 2 full-time consultants, all for free. So what's the problem if we were to say breach the contract and just say, no, we don't want that? Oh, you can't do that.
So how does that work? Is from a legal standpoint, you can't do that if it's free. Well,
what are the damages, right? What are what they say, like reliance damages? Oh, well, we started getting these consultants ready to go, and then you just pulled the rug out from under us. Give me a break. But it's so amazing to read what the city council attorney says to the concerned residents, which is basically, you're too late. This is now under contract, and it's governed by the rules of our contract with them. So now we have to take this consultation from Bloomberg, who, by the way, is one of the most liberal of the ex-mayors of New York City, who is one of the most liberal of the Democrat presidential candidates, who is no doubt another one of these closet Marxist-Leninists who is working for, ultimately, and maybe working a little slower than some, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but they're all working to the same goal. It's like the Fabian socialists in England, who were conducting essentially a revolution on the margins, a slow move towards communism, slow and steady, of course. And that's the kind of thing that Bloomberg's doing, taking over all these cities. And who's going to come in and argue with the Bloomberg consultant? The quote unquote, the smartest person in the room. Who's going to argue with them? Well, certainly not our city council. And when you read the proceedings from our city council, there was only even one of the members of the city council who spoke up against it. And frankly, it was a little bit of a faint-hearted objection, I would say, to it, because he says he thinks Bloomberg is a great brand. It's a great brand, but he just thinks it's too much power given to one group. But hey, if the vote here is 5-1 against me, that's fine. That's what he says. And of course, that's Bill Carlson, who was outed on this show by one of our guests as having some pretty questionable ties to communist Cuba. So, who knows why he's making an objection. And the vote, of course, he already knows it's going to be 5-1, because you can see the other councilmen and women all saying that they're voting in favor of it. So This was a backroom deal snuck in under your noses. Now that you've noticed, it's too late to object. And thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy continuing to be ruled by these people, because that's exactly how they're treating you. They're not treating you as though they work for you. They're your representatives in some capacity. They treat you as though they are your rulers, and they're just making all kinds of errors. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.